we are really happy that you've all taken the time to watch this evening. Just a few logistics up here at the top. We are recording this and we'll be posting it to our YouTube page. It usually takes about 3 to 5 business days for it to get up there after the webinar. So if you want to go back and rewatch anything, you'll have the opportunity to do that. And if you have any questions, then you should be able, there should be a little icon at the top right hand of your screen, and you can type those in at any point during the webinar. And once we've gotten through the presentation itself, we'll just read all the questions aloud and answer them and get through as many as we can in the 1 hour that we have allotted. And my contact information will be posted on the last slide. So if you have a very specific question or just one you want to ask individually, you can certainly email me that, and we can go from there. So I guess we'll go ahead and move forward and get started. So my name is Emily Lakemaker. I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment and Student Life, and I'm joined by 2 students here, and I'll let themselves introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kat Adams. You can see on the screen, but I'm a first-year BShe student. I'm doing both concentrations. I'm doing behavioral science and health education.
And where you're from?
Oh, I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I went to the University of Virginia and got a Bachelor's of Science in Kinesiology.
And I'm Shelby Barnes. I'm also a first-year behavioral science and health education student doing both tracks. I'm from Bowling Green, Ohio, and I went to Kent State University and got my bachelor's degree in public health.
Great. So just a few things on our agenda, what we're going to cover tonight, just some things to do, some celebratory things to do once you've completed your application, the OPUS itself login system and how to navigate that, a little bit about financial aid, and the application life cycle and ways that you can connect with us. So we'll cover all of these, and like I said, as you have questions, feel free to type them in, and we'll be sure to address all of them. So now that you've actually got your application in, it's a huge thing to have off your plate. So congratulations on that. Hopefully some of you out there are Parks and Rec fans and can appreciate our Treat Yourself meme that we have, because this is certainly the time to do so. Whether it's a dessert, this is public health, so obviously everything in moderation, but reading a book for pleasure that's not necessarily for school or work, getting a massage if you go to like a local massage school, or even for a salon like a local beauty school, usually you can get those services at some type of discount. Or just anything that you enjoy that will bring you calm and peace. It's a really important milestone, and we all here know how much work it took to go through the OPUS application process and all the moving parts that it was, and everything that you had to keep going, and everything you had to keep straight. So it's a huge accomplishment just to do this. Our current students that we have here, do you guys have any recollection of how you felt, or if you did anything special to celebrate just the application itself?
Just the application. I submitted my application when I was with family over Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my apps in super early,
It
was probably my grandmother poured me a very large glass of wine. And then I went back home, and I had an acceptance like a week and a half later. So I started getting acceptances really, really quickly.
Oh, from other schools. And
yeah,
because ours don't go out quite that early. Don't freak out yet if you haven't.
I think that I pretty much just watched endless television after I got my applications in, because you actually have time to do things for yourself. And I was working full-time in addition to applying for grad school, so I enjoyed having that free time back.
Yeah. So just take anything. Yeah, a Netflix binge is certainly a good recommendation. There's a ton out there right now. I guess if you're looking on the serious side, the Making a Murderer seems to be the most popular one right now. That gets a bit heavy.
I just finished season 7 of Parks and Rec.
It is. It just got posted. So
you should do that.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Okay, so once you do get your application in, and we've received your application, and keep in mind that can take several weeks for the time that you actually submit it through OPUS or through SOPHIS. It can take a few weeks for them to verify it, deem it complete, get it sent to us, and then for it to actually get loaded into our system. So during high volume application times, that can be about 4 weeks or so. So if you submitted your application through SOPHIS just a couple of weeks ago and still haven't received this email, it's totally okay. But you will be receiving an email from us on how to access OPUS, which is our online student portal basically here at Emory, and ways to access your account. So once you get that, you'll want to be sure to get logged in to make sure everything is there. And your OPUS page will look a little bit like this. You can see up there we've got your, you'll have your student ID number. That's often also referred to as your IMPL ID. Apparently we like to have multiple names for the same thing just to create a little bit of confusion. We like to keep you on your toes here at Emory. We do have our to-do checklist. You can see over on the right-hand side. You'll certainly want to keep an eye on this because anything that you may need to be doing, whether that's filling out FAFSA or confirming your enrollment or anything along those lines, it's going to be listed right here in this to-do list. You'll have your contact information down here. You'll definitely want to be sure that that is up to date because that's what we're going to use to contact you. You can see there's also a preferred email in there. You've got address, phone number, and preferred email. And we will be using that preferred email until as one of the ways to contact you. If you're an admitted student, we'll be continuing to use that preferred email through the summer, but then the second that the semester starts in August, every piece of Emory contact information will go exclusively to your Emory account. So just kind of be aware of that. And then you've got your decision forms and anything like that. So this is going to be where you check to view if you've actually been accepted. You can come in here and check. You'll also get an email from us if you've been accepted, well, one way or the other. And if you are accepted, you get a little kind of swag bag from us as well. So you can check all of that down in this bottom area. Also, any communications that come from us will be listed on your OPUS account as well. So but we do recommend that since all of these communications are going to a preferred email, like a Gmail account or something like that, make sure you add our SPH admissions, or I'm sorry, SPH admit account, which is just sphdmit@emory.edu. Be sure you add that to your address book so that way things don't get sent to the spam accounts or to your junk folder. And if you think you might be missing a communication from us, check there first.
Yeah, I definitely had some stuff get sent to, that got filtered weird into my Gmail. I don't know if it got sent to spam or like social or one of those other tabs, but definitely double check that because I missed a couple congratulatory. It wasn't my official decision email, but it was from the department.
Yeah.
It was from the BC department, and they sent me an email, and I didn't find that until like 3 weeks later.
Yeah, so just check all accounts or all versions of accounts. It certainly helps. Okay, so next up, FAFSA.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah,
I have to do that.
I still
yeah,
have
even
to.
as current students, you have to do FAFSA, but certainly as prospective students, even if you haven't received your admissions decision yet, you absolutely need to go ahead and get FAFSA filled out as soon as possible. You can see the school code here. That's for Emory. FAFSA allows you to put in, I believe, up to 10 school codes for the schools that you're thinking about. So you don't have to know for a fact where you're going just yet. But I would recommend to get it filled out sooner than later. We have several need-based grants and loans and awards that are based purely on FAFSA. And if you don't fill out this form, you won't be considered for them. And for those of you that maybe are just now applying, so rather, I'm not sure if all of you are familiar, but we had our priority deadline of January 5th. And applications received by then were considered for our merit-based scholarships. But we have a lot more funding opportunities other than just merit-based scholarships. So don't think that you've missed the boat entirely for funding options because of that deadline. We're obviously still accepting applications, and FAFSA is the #1 way to be considered for the rest of our funding opportunities. First and foremost, I think would be REAL, which is our Rollins Earn and Learn program. And that one is actually more first come, first serve than need-based, but we use the FAFSA to as the application for our REAL program. And just to kind of give you some background on that, it's basically our work study program, which if you are awarded REAL as part of your financial aid package, then you're eligible to apply for the jobs for our what we call our REAL jobs. And those are partners from across the city of Atlanta, everything from Emory partnerships to CDC, to Jimmy Carter Center, to Georgia Tech, other universities, not Georgia Tech, I'm sorry, to the Boys and Girls Club, which is where Kat is currently working. We do have some other universities across the country that we've partnered with, and some of our students do telecommute for their real job. And this just gives the students an opportunity to work in a real public health setting, doing real public health work while earning their degree. And we're usually talking, maybe 15 hours a week or so. Obviously, your schooling is the most important aspect, but this really does help students kind of create this public health network before they even get out of school. And students can earn up to $2,000 a semester or $4,000 a year. And I know, Kat, you have a real position if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I do. I work at Boys and Girls Club of America in program planning and development. It's really cool. And actually, my Boys and Girls Club of America has enough funding that if I go over my $2,000 cap per semester, they're able to pay me.
That's great.
And I've made contacts within the organization, and then we have some partner organizations that we work with, and so I've made some contacts in DC and in other places outside of Atlanta and the organization. And another thing, even if you don't know if you're going to get funding through federal loans, you want to still fill out a FAFSA so you're eligible for REAL, because it's so much easier to find a job if you can get paid through REAL.
Yeah, there's so many more opportunities.
And I also have a real position. I'm a data abstractor through the Congenital Heart Defects program. So I look at patient charts, and it's through a different department, through the epi department, but I've met a lot of, not professors, but just people that work in the department, as well as doctors that are on that research project. So it's been an interesting experience.
Yeah, REAL is a really good way to do that. And then in addition to REAL, we've got some need-based grants and awards. And then for the first time this year, we're able to award it's a Rollins tuition grant, and it's $8,000 over 2 years, and we'll have about 40 of those that we'll be able to award. So so those are some new things, and definitely reasons to apply for FAFSA. And one last plug for this before we move on. I know oftentimes if you maybe filled out FAFSA as an undergrad, and because you were still considered your parents' dependent, you weren't awarded any, they felt that you didn't have any financial need. It's done completely differently at the graduate level. Even if you're still a dependent of your parents, they do not factor in parent income if you are applying through FAFSA as a graduate student. So your award process would be very different from undergrad. So don't just take those experiences and think, oh, FAFSA can do nothing for me, because that's not the case. So we've got some external funding scholarships here that you can look up. And again, like I said, we are recording this, so you can go back and check these out and see if any of these would be something that you would be eligible for. We certainly do encourage students to search for some external funding to help supplement anything that they may need. So just to kind of give you an idea of the process itself, this is a kind of a linear version for any of you visual learners out there. You've got to get your application itself all submitted through SOPUS. Once that has happened and SOPUS deems it complete and verifies it, they send it to us. Once we have it, it will then be sent from our admissions office to the different department that you actually applied to. So if you applied to global health, it's going to go there, etc. Once the departments have reviewed and made their decisions, they notify us within the Office of Admissions. And then from there, we put in your decision into your OPUS account, and then you'll be notified electronically. And you can see it can take a little while, especially at peak times, which right now we are certainly in a peak time of this. So just kind of, I know it's hard, but patience is certainly encouraged during this time. That's easy for us to say because, you know, our students are already here and I'm just staff. So it's quite easy for us to say to be patient. Okay, so let's run through a couple of different scenarios. So first off, best case, you're admitted, which is excellent. You can find your official acceptance letter on OPUS, and we'll also physically mail one to you as well. In your acceptance letter, as well as in the letter that we're mailing to you, you will get the information on how to log into our admitted student portal. I can't stress enough how important it is to log into this. Everything about Visit Emory, which is our admitted student event, is going to be posted here, and registration opens up there on February 8th. So just be sure that, that you're logging into that portal as quickly as possible. Like I said, like we do get an admitted student gift. That's kind of part of the swag bag that we'll send to you with your official acceptance letter. International students, you can pick those up during orientation when you're actually here on campus. You'll also, as Kat mentioned, you'll also be getting some academic department communications, so be sure you're on the lookout for those. And in late May, we will be starting to post information about new student orientation for those of you that actually matriculate into the program. And that's a 5-day event, but we won't get into too much of that here. It's 5 wonderful fun days. And most importantly, right now, it'll be an invitation for Visit Emory, which, like I mentioned, is our admitted student preview day, or days rather. It's March 31st through April 1st. And for those of you that do get admitted, I would highly encourage you to try to attend this event. We've got class visits, we do campus tours, we have student panels, several of our deans speak. You get to meet with, we have a lot of social activities. Our student government throws a big party at the end of one of the days. So there's a lot to be involved with Visit Emory. Did either one of you attend Visit Emory when you got accepted?
Yeah, I came to Visit Emory, and I'm so glad I did, because that's what made me want to come. I visited some other schools as well. I think Visit Emory is a really good way to get a gauge of what the culture at the school is like. Every grad school definitely has its own vibe, both academic and social. And you have to be here for 2 years, and you will probably end up working with these people in some regard for probably the rest of your career. So you want to go someplace and make connections with people you really enjoy spending time with. And so I think Visit Emory is a really good way to kind of get to know people in a little bit more casual setting and find out, like, are these people going to be my friends for the next 2 years?
And colleagues.
And colleagues.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't able to come to Visit Emory because I was working at the time, but I still made a visit down here. I emailed some people, had my own visit arranged, but I'm glad that I was able to do that.
Yeah.
Even though I did get to miss the fun festivities and Visit Emory, but we still made that happen. So even if you can't make Visit Emory, I would still recommend coming down and visiting on your own time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really good advice.
And I'd say that for any school you get into.
Yes.
Visit the school. Some schools seem really great on paper, and when you get there in person, maybe it's not what you thought, and then vice versa. It doesn't seem like a place you'd enjoy being, and then you get there, and that's how I made my decisions. I had to visit my top choices, and I cannot stress that enough. I think that's my best piece of advice is look at your calendar for March and find some space.
Yeah. And we also do provide some travel grants for Visit Emory. And you can email me once you've been accepted and think you might want to come. You can email me directly, and I'll be happy to share that information with you. So next steps, you do have to return the admissions decision form by April 15th. That is on the admitted student portal. And if you are accepting our offer of admission, you have to pay your deposit by April 15th. The deposit is $300. And what that does is hold your spot. You can, if you don't notify us of anything by April 15th, we can't guarantee that your spot will be there, even if you were offered admission. So paying that $300 secures that. And then from there, you'll want to visit your academic department, whether that's online by just reviewing all the information they have there, or coming in person, either for Visit Emory or, like Shelby mentioned, just doing your individual department. Okay, so our admitted student portal, screenshot over here on the left-hand side. So definitely log into this as soon as you can. You can see the confirm enrollment little tab is right here. I believe it's going to be the third tab, and that is where you will go to fill out your admissions decision form by April 15th. This is also where we have information about Visit Emory, as well as just a lot of general info about maybe where to live, things to do in Atlanta. We have information from our career services office, finances information, so tuition breakdown, some sample student budgets so you can see like how our students actually live. and then just general student resources. And all the information about our new student orientation will also be located on the portal as well. Okay, so next scenario, you were waitlisted. So again, your letter detailing that will be on OPUS as well as emailed to you. From there, you'll be getting, you should have already received an email or will be receiving an email if you've recently applied of instructions on how to submit your second or third choice departments. Or maybe you did that in SOPUS. There's two different ways to do that. So if you've been waitlisted from your first choice, then you'll be actually getting a notification from us that you're going to be forwarded to your second or third choice departments. You also may receive a communication if they want to request any additional information, maybe like an updated personal statement, because my guess is you all probably wrote personal statements geared at your first choice. So you would have the opportunity to kind of modify some of those things before your application gets to your second or third choice departments. And don't think that, oh, you'll have a less chance of a choice of less of a chance of getting in because they'll know what your second or third choice, because that's not the case. You know, they're going to review you as a holistic student in a very unbiased approach in that way. So next step, if you are accepted in your second or third choice, it's same as previous ones. Make sure you get that admissions decision form and deposit of $300 in by April 15th, and then start checking out your academic departments. And worst case scenario, if you're not admitted, again, that information can be found on OPUS and will be emailed to you as well. And then if you are not admitted totally by your first choice, then again, it'll be sent to your second and third choices. That happens if you're not admitted or waitlisted. And then same thing as waitlisted, you'll be asked for any additional materials to be sent to your second and third departments. And if you're not admitted to any of those, we certainly encourage you to reapply. You can attend our different admissions sessions that you can find on our recruitment calendar to get a chance to talk directly to our advisors to learn about what they're looking for in an applicant. And you can also contact your academic department directly. I would recommend maybe doing that over the summer, because right now they are very deep in the admissions application review process. But maybe early summer, you could certainly reach out to them and see if they could talk with you about their application and give you some points of some ways to increase your competitiveness and what you could look at doing for when you reapply in the fall. So we definitely have some different ways we'd like for you to connect with us. We have some on-campus events coming up. So for those of you that are admitted, you can see at the very bottom we've got our Visit Emory, March 31st and April 1st. I'd highly recommend that for admitted students. But if you can't make that, we've got a couple of other dates up there. You can see Friday, February 19th and Friday, April 22nd. Those are our next admissions information sessions. Those are generally primarily for prospective students. Students are thinking about applying, wanting to learn more about the programs. But as an admitted student, you would get an opportunity to meet with your department advisor. You'd get a tour of the school. You get a chance to hear a panel by some of our current students and staff members. So it could still be a great way for you to come to campus if you can't make Visit Emory. So that's something to keep in mind. We also have guided school tours 3 times a week. You can see the dates and times there, and you can register for those on our website and in the admissions section of that. So you can certainly come and get a tour. They're led by a current student, and it's a great way to see the campus. I'm assuming that's probably what you did, something like that, Shelby, when you came? And
yep, I had a school tour. I got to sit in on a class, and then I got to meet with current students and ask some questions.
Great. And then also I encourage everybody to check out our recruitment calendar. It's again on our website in the admissions department or in the admissions page. You can check that out to see any on-campus and off-campus events that we have coming up. That includes webinars, info sessions, school tours, and events where we're elsewhere across the country, which we try to get a little everywhere throughout the recruitment year. And then on our admissions page of the website, you can read more about the degrees and programs, the different departments. We've got a link up there that includes information of who our different advisors. We call them ADAPs, We tend to speak our own little language around here, so I apologize if I've been saying that phrase and haven't even realized it. So ADAP is Associate Director of Academic Programs. They're basically an academic advisor, if you kind of want to think of something like that.
They're your guidance counselor.
Yes, and you can have a very close relationship with them. I know maybe if you went to a big undergrad, maybe you saw your advisor like once a year or something.
Not
If
even.
that, yeah, this is a very different concept. You know, it's our larger departments may have two, so that way it's split in the alphabet. You know, so it's very easy to connect with our ADAPs, and they certainly work hard to make sure that students are on track, both before they even get to the school and then once they're here. There's also information on tuition and financial aid there. You can read a few day in the lives of our current students and just various important deadlines. The most important one now being the April 15th deadline of getting into your admissions decision. So we have some upcoming webinars. We've talked a little bit about financial aid tonight, but I didn't want to get in too much to it because on Wednesday, the 3rd, this coming Wednesday, from noon to 1, we'll be having our financial aid webinar, and the assistant director of the financial aid office at Emory actually comes over to be a presenter on that. We'll also have a couple of current students that will be talking about their budgets and what it looks like for them. And we'll talk way more in depth about all the different funding opportunities that we have here. You can find that on our recruitment calendar and register for that if you like. We've got a couple of student life ones coming up, LGBT life at RSPH and minority student life as well. Those are both from noon to 1. And then March 29th, more of one about kind of just like life in Atlanta, student life at Rollins. So different clubs you could join, life in Atlanta, where students like to live, how they get around with or without a car, all those kind of things you need to know if you're moving to a brand new city. And then there are webinars for each different department coming up. I didn't have the space to list them out, but all of our webinars are up on our recruitment calendar, and we'll have department-specific ones starting next week. So you can check those out and hear from your department ADAPs and a couple of current students in each one of those. And so with that, I think we can go ahead and open it up to questions. As you have any, please feel free to just, looks like we don't have any yet. Sounds like you guys are a quiet bunch, but if you have some, go ahead and get those typed in, and we are more than happy to help answer them. We've got plenty of time left in our half hour. Yeah, we've got about half an hour left, so plenty of time to answer them if you have any questions. So for our current students that are here, did you guys attend any of these webinars while you were watching and looking?
I know I watched the one for, after I had been admitted, I watched the real one, which is again our work study program. And then I think I watched something about preparing resumes.
We did a career services one. We did that at the end of the summer. Yep.
And that was helpful.
Okay. Well, we've got a question here from Ganesh. For the two students, how is living in Atlanta similar or different to where you originally came from?
Atlanta's the first like real city I've lived in.
And you were in Charlotte, is it?
So I grew up in Virginia Beach, which is very, very suburban. It's a ton of suburban sprawl. And then I lived in Charlottesville, Virginia, which is definitely a university city. And so, yeah, Atlanta's just much bigger than where I've come from. Yeah, it's just different. And then I was in central Pennsylvania for 2 years working. So Atlanta is very different from Amish country.
Yes.
Both my hometown and where I went to undergrad are both small town college. So moving to a big city is definitely interesting, but there's always something to do. There's always something to see. And even if you don't have a car, there's public transportation, or you can catch a ride with friends. But I like Atlanta. I've had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I love living in Atlanta. I don't really want to leave now that I'm here.
Mm-hmm. And the good news is you don't have to, because there's so many public health opportunities in the city.
Yeah.
All right, so Tori's asking, does the money from Real go directly to tuition, or can it be used for living expenses? Great question, Tori. So Real positions are just a paid salary. You're paid by the hour, and so you get to use that money for whatever you need to.
It's direct deposit.
Yeah.
So if you have another job on campus like I do, you get paid the same way, and it's all in one check.
Yeah.
So.
You're a busy girl, Shelby.
No, yes.
You got that hustle going. Caroline is asking, if I applied by the 1st January date, when can I expect to hear back? It'll really depend, Caroline, on when you got that application, because it can take up to 4 to 6 weeks total for the entire process, from the time you submit your SOPUS application till the time you get an acceptance notification or admissions decision notification. So it can be hard to wait, but when we get, each year we get about 2,300 applications, so it's a lot to go through.
I know I checked my OPUS religiously for
Yeah.
that admissions decision.
Twice a day, probably. Oh,
Yeah.
that was stressful.
Yeah, I know that part's not fun. That part's not fun.
Yeah, I know it's easy to say, like, we got admitted already, we're here, but it'll come. Really, you'll have plenty of time to make a decision. Like, religiously checking your OPUS account is not going to make it come any faster.
The pot never boils.
And I think also you get an email too. So
Yeah,
I mean,
notified.
I think then OPUS notification, or it'll show up in OPUS maybe before it generates the email, but like it all would happen within the same day.
Yeah, and actually, I think the paid admissions deposit link shows up first. Yeah, that showed up like an hour before. Like my paid admission deposit link showed up about an hour before the actual letter showed up, and then I got my email like a day or two later.
Yeah.
But don't stress out about it.
Yeah, like we said, try to do something to relax. Let's see. Hey Yoon says, I'm an RPCV and recently got admission. Congratulations.
Yay!
Will I be getting details about Coverdell Fellows later? So for the Coverdell Fellowship, if your application was in by the January 5th deadline, which if you've already got your admissions decision, hey Yoon, my guess is that it was, you'll be getting an email from our office with information on, there's like a supplemental application that we ask for from the Coverdell Fellows for students that are applying for that, for any RPCVs that are coming in. So just look for that from our office, and it should probably be going out, in the next 2 weeks, because I know that there's still a handful of decisions to be made from the students from that first batch that got in by the January 5th deadline. But as soon as those admissions decisions are made, then we will be contacting the admitted RPCV students that would be eligible for the Coverdell Fellowship. So hopefully that helps. So it looks like things are kind of wrapping up with questions. But again, if you do have any, I think I've got, yeah. So here is my contact information, emily.lakemaker@emory.edu. So if you've got any questions that weren't addressed tonight that you would like to talk about, or anything along those lines, just any questions in general, or want to set up a visit outside of Visit Emory, you can do that and contact me there. But with that, I think we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Also, if you have questions maybe for any current students, you can email me as well, and I can put you in contact either with the two ladies that were here tonight or with some students that are in the department that you're looking at. We can certainly do that through our Student Ambassador program. So with that, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll be emailing out this link to everybody that registered, so that way you can go back and view it on YouTube as soon as it's up. Good night, y'all.
Good night.